Hello, and welcome to the Innovative Mindset Podcast. My name is Isolde Trachtenberg. I'm your host, and I am super happy you're here. Today is a creativity day, right? So if you've been following the show for a while, you know that it's recently gone from being a weekly interview show to a daily show with Monday. Innovation Mondays are all about innovation in one way or another, or how we can improve innovation in our lives, or how we can innovate our work or our lives. And often they are interviews with someone, but once a month, there's also me talking to you about ways that you specifically can innovate your work and your life. Tuesdays are creativity days. So if you're listening on a Tuesday, it is today, and it's a creativity day where I talk about ways of improving and building in more creative thinking and creativity into your work and your life. Wednesdays are all about compassion for self, compassion for others. Thursdays are about collaboration and how to make that work in your life even better than it does now. And Fridays are Mindful Fridays, where I'm talking to you about how to build more mindfulness into your, again, work and your life. So today we're going to talk about creativity, and specifically we're going to talk about what happens when you either don't want to create and you're on a deadline, or when, quote unquote, the muse runs dry. What happens when your muse goes on vacation and they're out of there, right? There's no, there's nothing that you can do about the fact that you are in some trouble. You need to create, you need to make, you need to produce, and you've got zero inspiration. I was talking to Wendy H. Jones, who's a wonderful, she's a podcaster, but she's also a best-selling mystery and middle grade author. And she gave me a quote that I absolutely loved about professional writers. And she said, she attributed it, I believe, to Stephen King, who said something along the lines of, I follow my muse. I follow my muse everywhere. And it's a really good thing that my muse is always available to me 9 to 5, right? So it's an important thing to remember that if you're a professional in a creative field or any field, if you need to think innovatively or creatively and you rely on that fickle muse, sometimes you don't have that ability, I would say, to get that inspiration from wherever it needs to come from. So how do you get it when you need it? And that seems to be the question of the day. Well, to me, if you feel like you just don't have it in you to be creative today, or you just don't have it in you to innovate or be productive or whatever, yeah, I hear you. I have those days too. We all have them. But what about when you're on deadline and you have to? What about then? What do you do when you just have to? Nobody cares if you're tired or achy or don't feel inspired. It's your job, and you have to create whatever it is you have to create. So I'm a big believer in the phrase small steps are still steps. So that's one of the things that I encourage people to do is start tiny, break everything down into its smallest components and do one. And I'm willing to bet you that you will figure out the next step right after that. It's like me with yoga. I have a rule that I am required to step on my yoga mat every single day. Now, I don't have to do yoga. If I really just don't have time or don't really feel like it, I can step right back off that yoga mat. And I can count, in the last 26 years that I've been doing yoga, I can count on two hands the number of times that I have stepped on the yoga mat and stepped back off. Because the second I go through the motion of actually unrolling the yoga mat and laying it on the floor and step on it, when I'm already there, I'm going to do some yoga. And it's partially that. It's if you leave your environment in a setup that it's going to be conducive to create, do so, right? So don't break everything down if you don't have to. If you have to, if you live in a small space like I do, and you can't just leave your yoga mat out, your artistic yoga mat, whatever that happens to be, then by gum, go ahead and leave it rolled out. But if you need to put it all away, then please put it away. But remember that just like you would brush your teeth in the morning, unfurl your metaphoric yoga mat. Just make it as easy as possible for yourself to get on that bicycle and ride it. So make it a habit. Make it like brushing your teeth. Make a rule for yourself. I don't have to write anything, but I have to sit down at the computer, or I have to sit down with pen and paper, however you create. You don't have to do it, but if you make yourself responsible to yourself for a part of it, for a component of it, it'll be a lot easier. I also want to talk to you about something else, and that is the notion of freeing up that creative part of yourself. And this is when I talk about it. And again, if you're a longtime listener of the show, you know that I love the doodle, the importance of the doodle. The doodle is crucial to unlocking creative thinking. Because if you just put down a pen or a pencil on a piece of paper and you just see what happens, just see what kind of doodles come out, chances are something will come out. And as soon as that comes out, I feel like I need to snap just to give that little boom, because as soon as you do, as soon as you create any kind of doodle, you unleash that slightly subconscious part of you, and you certainly unleash the creative part of you. You give that part of you permission to do whatever it wants to do. You give it permission to play. One of the things we have to remember that the creative part of us is not a rule follower. Just, you have to remember that. And I want to say that again. The creative part of you does not like rules. The creative part of you doesn't follow rules. The creative part of you wants freedom to create. One of the best ways to free that part of you, doodle. Honestly, it just lets you get that out. And one of the other things that you can do is you can realize that the messages that your subconscious, which you know me, I firmly believe our subconscious knows everything. It remembers everything that's ever happened to us. It knows everything that's ever happened to us. And it has thoughts and ideas that we cannot access in our conscious minds. So when you're doodling, when you're letting that daydream part of you have sway, it's going to give you a lot of information. So it might be trying to tell you stuff that you cannot access, but the doodling lets you do that. It lets you open the channel, if you will, to, I'm going to say that again. Doodling lets you open the channel to your innermost creative genius. I'm just going to say it like that because it's the pathway. It's a pathway. You might choose a different pathway, but allowing the tiniest bit of unfocused, unconscious creativity to come through opens the floodgates. And then you'll be off to the races. So it lets you activate that more creative and artistic part of your brain so that if you didn't feel like it, if your muse was on vacation today and you still have to do what you need to do, that's a great way to do it. Just get a pen and paper and doodle, and you'll be surprised at just how much more free you feel to be creative, to be innovative, and to get that stuff done that you're trying to get done that you didn't feel like you could get done once you've freed that little bit and open those floodgates to the most inner creative genius you've got. And as I said, you'll be off to the races. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. This is Isolde Trachtenberg. I am your host of The Innovative Mindset. If you're liking these little shorter episodes, do me a favor, leave a review for the show. You can do it on Apple Podcasts, and I think it's Stitcher is another one that you can leave reviews on. Please let me know, and also comment. Do me a favor. Get on the isoldet.com/blog page, which is where all these episodes live, and comment on one. Let me know what you're thinking. Until next time, I am, as I said, Isolde Trachtenberg, and I'm reminding you to listen, learn, laugh, and love a whole lot.